Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo. And it is March 8th. Wow. Okay, so a lot going on in our lives. And what do? We get into a devotion, right? Get into a time in the Word of God. Get focused a little bit on the word, and sometimes it's easy to get kind of scattered, right? There's so much going on and there's so much you can't control, but you're trying to control it. So we get right into it. Hey, welcome to the Morning Devo. My name's Bo Willette. You could always check out the archives at my YouTube channel, Bo Willette. I'm in Proverbs 25 today. It accidentally said 24 at the beginning, and I had to change it. I was like, oh man, I forgot to change the actual chapter. I love Casey's comment in the comment corner too. That was cool. What are we gonna learn today? What are we gonna get today from 25? I love it. A whole lot of wisdom, and I'll likely still biff it a bit today. Thank you for God for his mercy and grace. Oh, that's so true, right? Such a good vulnerability there. Yeah, we're going to biff it a little bit today. That's for sure, you know. And I love that. There's an honest understanding that we're going to need some grace for sure in our lives. So let's get into it, right? So we're going to be in Proverbs 25. Let's roll through it, see what it has to say to us today. Okay, so ready to go? Here we go. It says, these are more proverbs of Solomon collected by the advisors of King Hezekiah of Judah. Cool. You could always look up King Hezekiah. We actually went through the kind of reign of King Hezekiah when we went through our devotion time in the book of First or Second Kings. I forget. Probably Second Kings maybe, but anyway, I hope you can maybe flip back and find Hezekiah and kind of a little bit about his reign. Seemed like a fairly good person. So it is God's privilege to conceal things and the king's privilege to discover them. And interesting. It is God's privilege to conceal things. Like some things aren't going to be maybe known, and the king's privilege to discover them. And maybe, the politician out there is to seek the Lord. Maybe that's where this proverb's driving, is not everything's really known right off the bat. Maybe there is a seeking that needs to take place. Maybe the revelation of God, it's just a thought, but maybe the revelation of God there's a contingent seeking that needs to happen. Jesus said, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be opened. And so sometimes when maybe the revelation of God is concealed, meaning I don't see God, I don't see where God exists, maybe it's because we're not seeking the Lord. And so to the heart that is hard, everything screams no God. But when there's the seeker, then maybe there is plenty of evidence that is revealed. So I know Blaise Pascal, one of my favorite writers, has some really good lines on that. I did do a blazing with Pascal. It was something like that. Or it might have been Blazing with Blaze. But I did some YouTube videos. You could always go through my archives in my playlist, and you'll find that. It'll say Blaise Pascal. And I have some really cool videos on some of his quotes. And this one certainly reminds me of it. God's privilege is to conceal things, and the king's privilege is to discover them. Seek. No one can comprehend the height of heaven, the depths of the earth, or all that goes on in the king's mind. And that is true, right? Sometimes what's going on in that leader's mind? What are really all the issues that are going on? Sometimes I think of like, hey, you just have things in your family, and could be intense. But then you multiply that, right? Your job, right? Maybe you're a boss, those kind of things, a manager. And then you think, managing what? A company of 5, a company of 20, a company of 100, a company of 10,000, right? A whole country. Woo! That sounds pretty intense. Remove the impurities from silver, and the sterling will be ready for the silversmith. Remove the wicked from the king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. So very cool Proverbs right off the bat, kind of with that leadership in mind. Especially that leadership that is over a lot of people, even a country, right? Talking about removing the wickedness from what? The king's court. Wow. Wickedness from the king's court. Yeah, meaning the court system needs to be what? Just. It needs to be good, right? And it says, don't demand an audience with a king or push for a place among the great. It's better to wait for an invitation to the head table than to be sent away in public disgrace. Don't just push yourself forward, right? But instead, hey, think a little bit, And, it's like when Jesus says, hey, when you go into, a feast, don't just sit at the head of the table, because then maybe someone will just, beep, hey, you shouldn't be there, man. That's not your spot. There's this idea of humility, right? Just sit off to the side. If someone exalts you, hey, they exalt you. But don't presume to be in the main spot. And that's kind of cool. Maybe don't be presumptuous or think more highly of you than you ought, right? Sounds like something we just went over last Sunday in Romans 12. Just because you've seen something, don't be in a hurry to go to court. For what will you do in the end if your neighbor deals you a shameful defeat? I guess don't be quick to sue. Don't be so, oh man, I'm going to go to court. I'm going to go to court. I'm going to go to court. And that kind of thing. Never know. Maybe it's not going to go your way. When arguing with your neighbor, don't betray another person's secret. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never again regain your good reputation. Don't be quick to get into an argument. Don't be quick for the conflict. Am I quick in the conflict? Do I enjoy the conflict? Do I want to get in the argument? Is that really what I'm going? Some people love that, man. But you don't know where it's going to go. We already read, in the Proverbs, don't be drinking. Don't get all drinky and then start arguing, right? Alcohol and conflict don't work, Not good. Celebration, going to a wedding, water to wine, thumbs up. Situation's tough, difficult talks need to happen. Remove the alcohol, right? Yeah. And then it says, hey, watch your tongue again. Don't betray another person's secret. If someone tells you something privately, man, it needs to be private. It needs to stay there. It says you might never regain a good reputation. Man, that's so true. Sometimes when we say something out of step, it can hurt, and it can hurt for long periods of time. Timely advice is lovely, like golden apples in a silver basket. Having good advice, having good advisors. To one who listens, valid criticism is like a gold earring or other gold jewelry. One who listens, quick to listen, right? Listening, not just gabbing, right? And it says, trustworthy messengers refresh like snow in summer. They revive the spirit of the employer. So one who listens is awesome. Someone who's trustworthy. It says a person who promises a gift but doesn't give it is like clouds in the wind that bring no rain. Man, what a bummer. It looks like it's going to snow so Bo can go ski some more. That's awesome. It just rained the other day. Now, I haven't gone outside and looked up on the mountain yet to see if it snowed up there. But man, it's always a bummer when it rains down here and it's just too hot up there still. And it doesn't get the snow it needs. It's like you're just waiting, right? Like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Patience can persuade a prince, and soft speech can break bones, right? Maybe I need to be patient and have a soft speech. They can break bones. It can soften hearts, maybe. It can correct, right? It can, even a soft word can maybe, crush a strong-willed person. Being patient can persuade people, right? Don't have to rush trying to get that decision done. Let's change it, let's get it done. Instead, maybe there's patience that needs to happen. I've noticed in life, things take decades to work through. It's funny, when you're in your 20s, you think that issues can get dealt with kind of in short periods of time. I don't know if you found that out too, but you always think it can get done in like a week. Like, man, this is a week. It's going to be a long time. And then as you get older, you kind of go, whoa, like, no, these things take a long, long period of time to deal with and work through. Things just take a long time in general for us humans. We don't change very rapidly a lot. And it says, gee, like honey, don't eat too much. It will make you sick. Oh, don't just indulge in that thing that's so sweet. Don't visit your neighbors too often, or they will wear out your welcome. Telling lies about others is as harmful as hitting them with an axe, wounding them with a sword, or shooting them with the sharp arrows. Hey, don't tell lies about others. It's not good. It's like a murder. Isn't that interesting? Jesus said, hey, when you think those thoughts and say those things, those rough things to people, right? Man, it ain't good. I mean, Jesus points us to our hearts, to where our mouth speaks. And Jesus is showing us our need for salvation, even in the way we talk, that we are out of line, that there's murder underneath it. In the Proverbs, that's what Jesus does, is he just shows us how the Proverbs are, that they're true. That, yeah, your tongue is it's like an axe, man, right? It's like a sharp arrow. And, it doesn't help your neighbor too much, if you're just bad-mouthing them. I love that idea of don't wearing out your welcome either, right? Don't just stay around to stay around, It's okay when it's time to go, kind of thing. It says, putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth or walking on a lame foot. Isn't this true? Where when you try to put confidence in someone who's unreliable, it's like chewing with no teeth, right? You're not really making much progress. You're trusting in a person who's really unreliable. You don't know if it's really going to get done or not. You don't know if they're really going to be ready or not. And so it feels a little like unstable, right? It feels like there's no progress being made. Walking on a lame foot, something's off. And that's certainly how it is when you're not confident in someone's ability. And they've shown that they're not really people that have been able to earn your confidence. Singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking someone's coat in cold weather, right? You're all happy as ever, singing a song with someone has a heavy heart. It can be like taking someone's coat in a cold storm, right? You're in a sense bringing not a very comfortable situation to them. You got to mourn with those who mourn, right? That kind of idea. And it says, it's like pouring vinegar in a wound. Ooh, you just keep hurting someone when you're not sensitive to where they're at. Sometimes we got to just pray to God. God, help us to be sensitive to where that person's at. If your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them water. You will heap burning coals of shame on their heads, and the Lord will reward you. Hey, this is another section that is actually quoted in Romans 12. Very cool, right? So when you read Romans 12, you might think, hey, Paul was in Proverbs 25. Isn't that cool? As surely as a north wind brings rain, so a gossiping tongue causes anger. Again, that gossiping tongue. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. You might have a lovely home, but all you got is quarreling going on, right? You got that husband, that wife that is just constantly bickering, constantly at it. Oh, there you go again. Da, 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 da. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. I know in my life, I just went like this. Hey, if something's not done according to my liking, then maybe I need to either just do it myself in peace and not be blaming anybody, or if they do it, just let it go. Let them do it the way they do it and learn to be flexible. That's it. Not do it and be like, oh, you should do it like me because I'm so amazing. I'm awesome. I'm the best. I really have it together. Everybody else in the world, they stink, but I'm certainly amazing. No. No, I stink as well as everybody else does. I need salvation. I am that one that is evil too, and I need to be made right. And so maybe I have a preference. Maybe I like the dishes done a certain way, or maybe I like this done or that done a certain way. Then just go do it. And do it, and enjoy doing it, because you get to do it, man. Isn't that cool? One day you won't be able to do it because our bodies will be too old to do it. And so enjoy it while you got it, Hey. So, good news from far away is like cold water to the thirsty, right? Good news from far away is like cold water to the thirsty. Refreshing. So true. If you hear good news from far away, it is like a beautiful drink of water. It's the best. If the godly give into the wicked, it's like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring. Just the caving in, right, to the wicked. No fight at all. It just pollutes everything. And certainly our culture sees that. That's how it always is in culture, right? There's always this fight against this and against that. And if there is no fight, it can go one direction pretty easy. And if you have a dictator, right, who just does wickedness, it's like polluting the fountain, right? A lot to think about with that kind of idea, by the way. A lot of nuance to that. But I think the idea is giving in, right? Giving in. And then I kind of personalize it. Do I give in, Lord? Do I give in? Sometimes you get tired of a fight and you just give up. Lord, help me not to give in. It's not good to eat too much honey, and it's not good to seek honors for yourself, right? Too much of anything can really get you sick. Too much honor for yourself. Too much accolades for yourself. What does it do to us as human beings? What have we done with all of our success? What have we done with all of our, quote, science? What have we done with all of our engineering? We've boasted, become more proud, become very arrogant as the human species. People might say it's done good, but maybe it hasn't done any good. Maybe it's just made us more lost and blind to our need. We've engineered actually kind of artificial life so that we can kind of lose sight of our need of salvation. We start living in Peter Pan land, like a Disneyland, with all of our gadgets and all of our things, and we kind of lose our mind for a little bit. We're in the theme park tripping out on everything. Wow, we forget that, oh yeah, that's right, we got real life out there. And maybe we've just forgot about the real need of salvation, right? Too much honey, too much honor to ourselves. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Ooh. Right? Have you ever thought of your life and you go, man, Lord, I need the gift of the spirit of self-control. How many times have I prayed that in my life? God, I need self-control. Help me not just do what I want to do. That kind of idea. Help me to practice self-control. I don't want to be a city without walls, right? Broken down walls. Yeah, you got a bunch of walls, but they're all broken down, right? The enemy can easily come in. No resistance at all. No self-control, right? A little bit, but there's too many holes, right? Self-control is like boarding up everything around you. It's creating a safety area around you, right? It's kind of a lost art nowadays. A lot of us in our world, self-control is kind of one of those like, oh man, that's kind of prudish, that's kind of lame. But then what we do is we have all these holes, chinks in the armor, and arrows come through, right? And we allow everything in through various ways, and they all penetrate the heart, hurt the heart, and so many things. Gosh, instead of listening to my parents, instead of doing that, instead of doing this, instead of putting up the walls, instead I've allowed way too much in, right? Didn't have very good self-control, and all of a sudden there's damage done, right? So there's a lot of stories about the lack of self-control that we all have. So, man, a great proverb for sure, man. A lot of good stuff. Proverbs 25, rocking the block. I love it, So Michael Rodriguez says, Psalm 86:11. What does it say? What does Psalm 86:11 say, Michael? Let's see. And then Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ, 1 Corinthians 11. Amen. We're all going to have to look up Psalm 86:11, because Michael's posted that. Paula, no problem. My blessing to give a little morning Devo, get us focused. So, Laura, great having you in the house of Devo with us. And Casey, so good to have you with us as well. Casey says she looked up at the mountaintop. I can't see if there's snow there because there are some cool clouds covering. So, hey, let's see. We'll see what today brings. Maybe the clouds will go away and there'll be some amazing snow and it will be awesome. It won't be like, oh, that letdown. So everybody, look up Psalm 86:11, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend, right? Today is Friday. Wow, what a trip. So thanks for bearing with me this week, too, with such a weird schedule. So we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.